𝗍𝗹𝗺𝗀𝗋 once said, change is the end result of all true learning. So now, please get your pen, notebook, and module in oral communication, for we will about to start with our lesson. But before that, here are some of our gentle reminders upon using this module. First, use the module with care. Second, do not forget to answer what I know before moving on onto the other activities included in the module. Third, read the directions carefully before doing each task. Fourth, observe honesty and integrity in doing the task and in checking your answers. Next, finish the task at hand before proceeding to the next. And of course, return the module to your teacher or facilitator once you are through with it. Alright, are you all set? Let us now begin our journey in the world of communication. Our point of discussion dwells on the types of speech context. Within the period of episode, you, our grade 11 learners, are expected to first, define speech context. Second, identify the various types of speech context in different situations. Next, employ appropriate verbal and non-verbal behavior in different speech contexts. There is never a day that you do not communicate. It could be in a group discussion, Facebook status update, dinner conversation with someone you are interested in, or small talk with a family member. In this case, it is necessary for you to understand the concept of speaking in a variety of communication situations and the number of people you are communicating with. Since you have already learned the various components of communication in the previous modules, in this time, you are going to look at speech context and find out how to act appropriately in the different communication situations. Context, when referring to speech communication, is the surroundings, circumstances, environment background, or setting that determine, specify, or clarify the meaning of an event. According to the V2 in the year 2005, context refers to the setting in which the communication takes place. Context helps to establish meaning and can influence what is said and how it is said. Speech context is important because it helps you to communicate appropriately, understand the meaning of any message conveyed, and respond accordingly. In order for you to have a clear grasp of what speech context is, let us now understand and discuss the different types of speech context. Let's do first the first type, which is the intrapersonal. This is according to 𝗍𝗶𝗆 and Weaver in the year 2012. This refers to a type of communication that is focused on one person, where the speaker acts both as the sender and as the receiver of the message. The message is made up of thoughts and feelings, while the medium is the brain that processes what you think and feel. Now let's have here some of the examples. There is a voice within you that tells you it's okay, you can still do it, you can make it, when you are losing your drive to finish the task that you are doing. Second example, when you told yourself not to talk to your friends when you have read in a Facebook post that they were in a party and you were not invited. The second one is what we call the interpersonal. This refers to the type of communication that takes place between and among people and creates a personal relationship between and among them. Normally, it includes two individuals and it can vary from casual and very personal to formal and impersonal. Now, we have in here under interpersonal the different types. Alright, so let's have them one by one. The first one is what we call as the direct communication. This is a communication that happens between two people. For example, you consoled your brother who was feeling down. Or another one, a conversation between your father and mother about the latest announcement of your barangay chairman. The second one is what we call the small group. Now, small group in here applies to interacts involving at least 3 or not more than 12 people engaged in a face-to-face interactions to achieve the desired goal. Now, in this type of conversation, all participants can freely express their ideas throughout the discussion. We have in here an example. Just like when you are having a discussion with your two brothers about the surprise party that you are planning for your mom's birthday. Or Kathleen, who came back from United States, called her 3 brothers and 4 sisters and announced that she is married. Now, let's have the public. This type refers to a communication that enables you to send or deliver a message before a crowd. The message can be transmitted for informative and persuasive purposes. In public groups or in communication, unlike interpersonal and small groups, the channels are more exaggerated. The voice is louder and the gestures are expansive because the audience is larger. That is actually according to 𝗞𝗿𝘆 and Weaver in the year 2012. Now let's have your examples. First, when you are delivering a graduation speech to your fellow graduates, or when you were elected as the new SSG president of your school and were given a chance to deliver a message of gratitude to your fellow students. Next, let's have mass communication. This refers to communication through television, radio, newspapers, magazines, books, billboards, internet, and other types of media. Examples in here we have just like when you are watching a televised briefing on IATF on COVID-19, or you have recorded a commentary for your school's online discussion of the pandemic and uploaded it into your social media account. Alright, now let us check what you have learned. Kindly turn your module on page 10 and try to solve the crossword puzzle. But let us read first the directions. Directions. Complete the puzzle below by identifying the 4 types of speech context and the 2 types of interpersonal communication evident in the presented situations. So there you have it. In a short while, we will be right back after this very short break. So please answer it with all honesty. Just hold on, our dear learners.
The Radyo Z-eskwela program of the Division of Davao de Oro is being brought to you by Nueda Builders Construction and Supply Incorporated, Maverick Builders Incorporated, Mitch Construction and Supply, Archicons Architectural Construction and Supply, DB Construction and Supply, Hanaway Builders Corporation, Phoenix Corvada Tagum Gasoline Station, Master Construction and Supplies, Mackenzie Builders, GP&H Construction Incorporated, Metro Gear Construction Corporation, NEN Builders and Development Services Corporation, Max Mays Enterprises Incorporated, We Inc. Construction Company, Rangay Construction and Supply, East Sussex Enterprise, WM Construction, Councilor Boogie and Miss Marjorie Vertodazo, Icon Builders and Supply, and Apex Mining Company Incorporated.
Hello, we're now back, and you're still tuning in to School on Air for Grade 11, Oral Communication in Context with the topic Types of Speech Context. A while ago, we discussed on the types of speech context. So now, for the answers on the crossword puzzle, kindly communicate with your subject teacher. Okay. Alright, at this juncture, let us proceed to our discussion. We have now in here the verbal and the non-verbal behavior in a speech context. Different speech contexts, whether it is intrapersonal, interpersonal, public, or mass communication, requires different approaches. Though there might be some occasional similarities, you should at least know how to behave and respond to various speech contexts appropriately. You might be familiar with the feeling of quietly talking to yourself or to your mind. Well, it's actually normal and good for you. By performing this, it makes you think and reflect on the things you have done or you are planning to do. But here are some of the important reminders that you should need to keep in mind. First, when talking to yourself. Alright, the first reminder is use self-talk to your advantage. Cheering yourself up before an important event or talking to yourself while completing a task are two perfect opportunities for self-talk. That is actually according to Gold in the year 2018 in his book, Talking to Yourself is Normal. Second, don't overdo it. While it is normal to talk to yourself constantly, it is better not to overuse yourself of doing so. The most common reason why people end up talking to themselves is because they feel like they don't have someone else to talk to. To address this, you need to be more sociable. It would give you more people to talk to other than yourself. At this point, when you're talking to one person or small group of people, for example, when you're consoling your friend who is feeling down or simply talking with your classmates about your plans for a group activity is an example of a dyad and small group communication. This kind of communication implies that the conversation is being shared and there is the exchange of ideas. Thus, to achieve successful communication in a dyad or small group, you have to consider these particular things. First, listen carefully. Needless to say, this is the very basic foundation of effective communication. You have to listen carefully and understand what the other person is saying. Of course, asking and clarifying questions lets the other person know that you are indeed listening attentively. More so, take active part. You should also need to be heard and understood when it is your time to speak. Second, check your tone and body language. The vocabulary of the body is more revealing than the actual words you speak. So, watch out for your tone and body language while you are talking. Is your tone tough? Do you smile and encourage the person you are talking to? Your body language, according to Oaks in the year 2017, it tells more about your emotions and thoughts than your actual words. Bear this in mind that the next time you have a conversation with someone, check your body language to ensure that it is consistent with your words. Next, we have when people talking to public. Speaking in front of the crowd requires many preparation, from analyzing of your target audience to planning and drafting your speech up to rehearsing that part. The key, therefore, is to come prepared. Of course, when you are talking to the public, you have to be yourself when you are on stage and speak in the way that you will be easily understood by your audience. And for you to know more about this in the succeeding modules, about the principles of speech delivery, you just have to keep on reading. Alright, that ends our discussion, and I hope that you have learned a lot. At this point in time, let us check what you have learned. Kindly turn your module on pages 14 and 15 and answer the assessment. Let us read first the directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer and write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. There you go! In a short while, we will be right back after this very short break. So please answer it with all integrity. Just hold on, our dear learners.
The Radyo Z-eskwela program of the Division of Davao de Oro is being brought to you by 𝗓𝗹𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗃 Construction and Supply Incorporated, Maverick Builders Incorporated, Mitch Construction and Supply, Archicons Architectural Construction and Supply, DB Construction and Supply, Hanaway Builders Corporation, 𝗘𝗿𝗺𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗃 Gasoline Station, Master Construction and Supplies, Mackenzie Builders, GP&H Construction Incorporated, Metro Gear Construction Corporation, NEN Builders and Development Services Corporation, Max Mays Enterprises Incorporated, We Inc. Construction Company, Rangay Construction and Supply, East Sussex Enterprise, WM Construction, Councilor Boogie and Miss Marjorie Vertodazo, Icon Builders and Supply, and Apex Mining Company Incorporated.
Hello, we're back, and you're still tuning in to School on Air for Grade 11 English in Oral Communication in Context with the topic Types of Speech Context. And now, let us check your task. Number 1. Which of the following is not a speech context? A. Intrapersonal communication. B. Diet communication. C. Long-distance communication. Or D. Public communication. And the answer is very good. Letter C. Number 2. Which of the following is not an example of intrapersonal communication? A. Sending a text message to a friend. B. Talking to yourself. C. Writing a note to yourself. Or D. Thinking about a problem. And the correct answer? Very good. Letter A. Sending a text message to a friend. Number 3. Which of these is an example of a dyadic communication? A. Two brothers arguing. B. A coach and a player discussing last week's game. C. A husband and a wife making plans for the summer vacation. Or D. All of these are correct. Very good. The correct answer is letter D. All of the above. Number 4. Why do you think group communication involves a different set of skills than interpersonal communication? It is because A. In a group, one sender has many different receivers to take into account. B. In a group, One receiver has many different senders to take into account. C. Group, by definition, consists more than two people. Or D. Group communication is more important than interpersonal communication. And the right answer is C. Job well done. Number 5. Which of the following is not true about speech context? A. In public communication, unlike in interpersonal and small group, the channels are more exaggerated. The voice is louder and the gestures are more expensive because the audience is bigger. Or letter B, the most common reason why people end up talking to themselves is because they feel that they do not have someone else to talk to. Or C, different speech contexts, whether it is interpersonal, public, or mass communication, require different behavior. However, there might be some occasional similarities. And letter D, in interpersonal communication, asking clarifying questions lets the other person know that you are not listening attentively. And the right answer is letter D. Great job! Number 6. You provided reassuring and comforting words to a friend who was feeling down. Is it A. Diet communication, B. Public communication, C. Mass communication, D. Interpersonal communication? And the answer? Very good. A. Number 7. You are having a discussion with your groupmates on how to finish the assignment task. Is it A. Public communication, B. Small group communication, C. Diet communication, or D. Interpersonal communication? And the right answer? Great job! Letter B. Number 8. Karen thinks about the things she did the whole day and writes them in her journal. Is it A. Interpersonal, B. Diet, C. Mass communication, or D. Small group? And the answer? Very good. That is letter A. Number 9. The TV news anchor is giving the latest news updates. It is A. Public communication, B. Mass communication, C. Interpersonal communication, or D. Intrapersonal communication. And you get it right because that is letter B. Mass communication. Number 10. Group 5 discussed the effects of social media on communication skills. It is A. Intrapersonal communication, B. Interpersonal communication, C. Mass communication, or D. Public communication? Very good. That is letter B. For items number 11. In interpersonal communication, the message is made up of your thoughts and feelings. And the answer is very good, true. Number 12. In small group communication, all participants can freely share ideas in a loose and open discussion. Is it true or false? The answer is true again. Number 13. Participating in a declamation, oration, debate, or storytelling activity is an example of small group communication. The answer is false. Very good. And number 14, to become an effective public speaker, you have to be yourself while you are on stage and speak in a way that you will be easily understood by your audience. The answer is very good, true. And finally, for the last item, number 15, just like in a small group communication, the channel in public communication should not be exaggerated. And the correct answer is false. Very good. Job well done. Did you get it all correctly? Well, that is absolutely amazing. Congratulations! You are now one step advanced in understanding the types of speech contexts. And there are a lot of more fun learning activities and tests that you can learn in this module. You just have to stay in contact with your subject teacher. This is indeed a fun learning and significant experience for all of us as we have divulged in our subject oral communication in context with this week's lesson types of speech context. Hence, we are much blessed to continue in aspiring for quality education despite this most challenging time. The Department of Education, Davao de Oro, unceasingly aims towards quality education. I am once again your teacher, Ma'am 𝗞𝗿𝘆𝘀𝗹, saying to you God's word in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 13. All your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be peace of your children. Thank you so much, and mabuhay! To God be the glory!
𝗏𝗏𝗺 Executive Committee. The School's Division Superintendent, Euphemia T. Gamutin Cecil 5. Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Romel R. Handayan. OIC Curriculum Implementation Division Chief, Karina S. Frasco. School Governance and Operations Division Chief, Dr. Ruben J. Riponte. Members: Cecilia Morales, Dr. Hilda A. Opeña, Dr. Arlene B. Lim, Dr. Eldecris B. Calzadora, Dr. Dexter A. Siquinia, Nohara O. Pinute, Noemi P. Canales, Dr. Grace D. Pontillas, Virgilito C. Pabrices, Juanito Lapiceros, Engineer Norberto S. Manlangit, Jomar M. Dumupoy, Bob Dalan S. Milabat, Medard T. Ampit, and Paz Eugenia Villusino. Technical Working Committee. Productions and Communications, Lorely E. Quijano, Given G. Hinampas, Judyland D. U, Donna D. T. Bolifer, Mary Rose N. Resma, Riwen Manuel, Irene Lea C. Manguhon, and Bessie Aya N. Baniez. Social Media and Packaging Team, Christian Anhara L. Martesio, William R. Ranara, Joan T. Iscoton, Roberto S. Acusar Jr., May B. Istanyol, Richard H. Arellano, Glee L. S. Blanco, Ralph A. Tabanyag, Angelo Gutierrez Jr., and Jade Karen Araiz.